Good morning. We're going to start the meeting, so if you all want to take your seats, that would be great. This is the Thursday, February 27th, Board of County Commissioners Zoning Hearing. May I please have a roll call?
Vice Mayor Baxter.
Here.
Commissioner Flores. Mayor Marino.
Here.
Commissioner Powell.
Here.
Commissioner Sachs.
Here.
Commissioner Weiss.
Here.
Commissioner Woodward.
Here.
Thank you.
I've asked Commissioner Woodward to lead us in the invocation and the pledge. For those of you that can stand, please do so.
Dear God, bless this meeting convened in goodwill for the benefit of those we serve. Give us the strength to overcome the obstacles we shall surely meet and the wisdom to make good use of the opportunities we shall surely find. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Has the meeting been noticed?
Yes,
Thank you. Do we have proof of publication?
we do.
And may I get a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
I have a motion from Vice Mayor Baxter, a second from Commissioner Woodward. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll oppose. See that motion carries 6-0. Okay, may I have our attorney do the swearing in, please?
Will all those able to stand who are going to be testifying on items today, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All righty. Who wants to present the additions, deletions, and modifications to this agenda?
Well, that would be me. So we'll go ahead. We have several items, and there are actually two little packets that are stapled. So we have first postponement, item 3, ZV PDD 2024-01280L Car Wash, a correction for the motion to postpone to March 27th, 2025 at the request of the applicant. Under C withdraws, we have two requests. Item 15, CA 2024-00009, Haverhill Recovery Facility, modifying the agenda and the motion. No motion is necessary. The applicant did request to withdraw the small scale amendment. Item 16, ABNZ 2024-00519, Haverhill Recovery, the zoning application. Again, an amendment to the agenda as the applicant requested to postpone, to withdraw that application. No motion is necessary. On the consent agenda, 3, ZVPDD 2024-01280L Car Wash, an amendment to Exhibit C1 to delete and replace environmental condition number 1 to add environmental condition 2. Item 4, ZDOA 2024-01026 Palms West Hospital expansion. We have an amendment to the development order amendment, specifically in Exhibit C2, landscape perimeter. Item number 5, modifying the proposed condition. And the compliance condition 2 is replaced with the language added therein. Item 6, CA 2024-00609 Celtic multifamily. There is a modification to the request to indicate 16 workforce housing bonus programs and not 17. On the regular agenda, B11, Z 2024-01037 Reserve at Eagles Landing. Modifying the request to indicate 26.24 acres rather than 2.24 acres. C, large-scale plan amendments and concurrent zoning applications. Item 13, the Loxahatchee Estates overlay, ULDC permission to advertise. We're amending the staff report recommendation and motion to include a staff recommendation as it relates to the time of the hearing and making the original condition A B. So there's two motions on item 13. Item 14, CA 2024-745 Rawlings Estate Subdivision. There is an amendment to Exhibit C1 for environmental condition 1 to reference 80th Avenue North, and item 2 to take out an extra word provided and again reference 180th. Amend, modify Class A conditional use in Exhibit C2, the property real estate management plating condition. There's a reference to 3 or 4, and it should be 3. E, ULDC revisions, item 17 for the affordable housing program, permission to advertise, adding in a motion to receive and file the business impact estimate statement. And then item D, 20, workforce housing program, we're adding in some additional correspondence at the back of the ad delete from Gold Coast Builders Association as well as the Housing Leadership Council. And then item 21, county transportation master plan resolution. We're deleting this item from the agenda to be heard at a future hearing date. On the addendum packet, specifically C12 LGA 2024-10 Rawlings Estates. For the future land use application, we're adding in a condition 3 relative to the dedication of a 2.08 acre parcel for a future fire rescue facility. Item 14 CA 2024-745 Rawlings Estates, a modification to Exhibit C2 as it relates to property real estate management, condition number 1. We're deleting 1G and H, I and J, and then under 2 there's modifications to the original paragraph, and then C and the trailer. On condition 3, environmental survey, there's struck out and added language. And condition number 4 and 5 are being struck out, and the remaining are being renumbered. I also have to add in, because we are adding in a LGA condition number 3 to Rawlings Estates, we will need to add in a planning condition number 8 to Exhibit C1, which ultimately repeats that. So I will read it into the record saying, per LGA 2024-10 condition 3, the zoning development order shall provide for a minimum 2.08 acre dedication to Palm Beach County for a future fire rescue facility, which shall be conveyed to in accordance with and full satisfaction of applicable property and real estate management prem condition of approval therein. And that is it. That is it.
You want to repeat that? Vice Mayor Baxter said, I think she should repeat it.
Just kidding.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
I have a motion from the Vice Mayor, a second from Commissioner Woodward. All in favor?
Aye.
Nope.
Are you saying to approve the agenda as amended just now, not with regard to the consent agenda?
We haven't gotten to consent
Very
yet.
good, thank you. I have no objection.
Okay. All in favor? All opposed? See that the motion carries 6-0. We are now at the consent agenda. Does anyone want to pull anything from the consent agenda? Commissioner Sacks.
Mayor, I'm sorry, first, can we do the postponed item vote that I had pulled? On the
Sure.
ad delete,
okay.
item 3, ZV PDD 2024-01-280L Car Wash. We will need a motion to postpone.
May I get a motion to approve the withdrawal of postponed, sorry.
Second.
So I have a first from Commissioner Weiss, a second from Vice Mayor Baxter. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? See that motion carries 6-0. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
Now what?
On the withdraw, I believe you might have some cards on the withdraw of Haverhill. Yeah. No, postponement, withdraws is first.
Item 16? Sorry.
Yes.
We've postponed item 16, which is the Haverhill item. We have several
We
cards in.
withdrew it. We withdrew that one.
I'm sorry, withdrawn.
Yeah. And there were residents that wanted to speak, but it's at your discretion, so.
Since we have withdrawn in, there's really nothing to speak about, but we're more than welcome to have you speak since you came here, but we have withdrawn the item. We have 2 cards. If you'd like to come up, they are?
Michael Williams and Diana Casales-Nero. We have 2 microphones coming up.
But we have no items, so there's really nothing to comment on, but you're more than welcome since you took the time to come here.
Yes, I do understand that. I came here this morning because I feel like we've been fighting this battle for quite a long time. I know it's withdrawn, but I noticed that some of the people are here this morning. You know, when I go to the polls to vote, I vote for people who I believe will stand up for the citizens of Palm Beach County. That's what we do when we go to vote. But when I see that we have a community that is so unique, I've been a business person here for the last 50 years, and I felt like where I live was my sanctuary that I could turn over to my children and my grandchildren. I know that house prices and everything in Palm Beach County has gotten so high that I feel like the investment that we've made in our homes is something that is something that we're hoping to pass on to our own children. And but when I see this this development that they're trying to put right on our back doors, it's really almost offensive, and I feel like we're fighting for the sanctuary of our lives and for our children and our grandchildren. This development devalues our properties. It's the security of our children is at stake. One of my neighbors, it's 50 feet from his window where the development is going to go. The other one, an older couple, is maybe 75 feet from her front door. Another one is maybe nothing more than 100 feet from their development. And I think this is just downright wrong that this has even been allowed to continue this long. This is a very unique community, a very diverse community where you have people of every race and nationality there. And our neighbors at Central Village, the development is maybe 100 feet from these older people who have spent their whole life working for what they've worked for and now hoping to have the sanctuary of their home. And this is only a few feet away from their doorsteps. And so they're not here today because they heard of the postponement, but I think it's only
No,
right.
it hasn't been postponed, sir. It has been withdrawn.
Withdrawn, I'm
There's a
sorry.
big difference.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Withdrawn means at this,
I
until we don't know when or if it's ever coming back.
I'm sorry, withdrawn. I'm sorry about that. That's a word, withdrawn. But I think it's just wrong for all of us. It's all the way around. This project is just a wrong project for everybody. And it's my hope here that this will never even rise again, because this unique neighborhood that we have, we should be trying to protect neighborhoods like these, which is 5 minutes from downtown West Palm Beach, but have the sanctuary that we have there. Everyone who comes into our community said this is a piece of heaven. And what this means is this is just coming to disrupt and to destroy what we have there. And it's my hope that this, from the zoning to the planning and everything else, will be, this thing will be totally squashed, that we don't have to fight this battle anymore. And that's why I'm here this morning. I know it's withdrawn, but I just need for you guys to understand what is at stake here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And who is the next card?
Diana Casales-Nero.
Hi guys, good morning. How are you guys? My name is Diana Casales-Nero, and I understand that it's withdrawn, but the development of that property, Marino, is very important that we keep it as a residential property. And unfortunately, it will change into commercial because in 2018, you all approved a change for a PUD.
A previous commission did that, not us.
No, actually, it was a lot of you guys here. But the problem is not the fact that in 2018 this happened. The truth is, the character of our neighborhood is residential with families that have children and that have actually
Go right ahead.
Okay, so that have actually created their properties for the future of our children. And by you guys accessing this property for a commercial development, you are changing our neighborhood. Now, I understand that you guys have a right and you have a vote and you have a responsibility to uphold your positions. I understand that. There is a big problem. You are changing the character of our neighborhood by allowing certain developments in that corner. The road that it was persuaded to be used, hi Baxter, I'm sorry I mentioned you last hearing. The road that is being persuaded to be used is actually an easement line to every single one of our properties. And about 40 years ago, they created this road, the neighbors created this easement road. And what's happening is that it is being approved that this road that we use to ingress, and it's only a one-way road for one specific car, it's now being put for the possibility of being used for commercial purposes. When in fact that should not be, because it is only for an ingress purpose. It is a roadway that uses 30 feet of our land for us to be able to enter and exit our properties. Now, I understand that you guys don't have to think about being compassionate with our purpose, but you are changing the character of our neighborhood by allowing one of those properties becoming a commercial property. Now, I understand that you guys have something that you have to do because you have to provide commercialization for that corridor of Haverhill Road. So if I am going to be forced to have a commercial property right there on that corner of where I enter and exit, can you please try to at least prevent the possibility of having a higher traffic pattern? And since the address of that property faces Haverhill, perhaps prevent from that property to use our private easement, ingress and egress road. That's what I would like to see if you guys can do for us, because it is really the only thing that we can ask you guys to do. We cannot force anybody to do what they want to do with their properties. I understand. I know my time is done. I understand. Thank you, guys. I'm really sorry that I came today.
Thank you.
I know.
If I may?
Sure.
That particular neighborhood that they're representing, the Horseshoe Street, is essentially a rural enclave. And we've talked a lot, Diana and I think we can get together with planning to talk about if there's a potential to look at that area as a rural enclave, at least to open the lines of communication with planning and zoning and the neighborhood, and to sit down and have a better understanding about that access easement, so that if an application was to come forward again, they would have some early notice. The way our process works, a lot of applicants, a lot of neighborhoods don't get notification till very late in the process, but there are some communities that are a little more savvy than others, like Cobra, and they know which to monitor. So we will definitely have a conversation with planning and zoning, with Diana and the neighborhood to let them talk about their neighborhood and the access and other rural enclave type of issues.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, so someone want to remind me where we are now?
Yes, so now that was the end of the postponement, remand, withdraw portion. So consent, and you would be on any request to pull
Okay.
items from consent.
Would anyone like to pull any item from consent? Commissioner Sacks?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I would. I would like to pull from the consent agenda, the B1 EAC 2024-01609, all seasons, and I'd like to pull number 4, ABN/DOA 2024-00774, Shadowwood, MUPD. Thank you.
Okay, may I get, before we take a motion, how about we do disclosures on consent? And we will withhold disclosures for 1 and 4 when we talk about them after the consent agenda is approved. So, Commissioner Powell, consent disclosures.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If we move forward with the ones that have been removed from the consent agenda, I have I've had no further communication on any of the ones that are on consent.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss?
With the removal of items 1 and 4, I have no disclosures on consent. I take that, and 3 has been postponed. So no disclosures
Thank you.
on consent.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, with the removals of 1 and 4 and the postponement of 3, I have for number 2, emails received and filed with the clerk, and no verbal communication and no site visit.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward?
Thank you, Mayor. On item number 2, I have verbal communication with Scott Backman. On item number 7, verbal communication with Scott Backman. And that is all.
Thank you. Commissioner Sacks?
None at this time.
Thank you. And myself, on number 8, my staff received verbal communication with Bradley Miller. Okay, so may I get a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the 2 items removed?
So moved.
I have a first from the Vice Mayor Baxter and a second from Commissioner Woodward. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? See that motion carries 6-0.
There were some cards on the consent agenda?
Yes, thank you. Sorry. Alexandria Larson?
Ms. Larson?
Believe me, commissioners, when I read these.
Can I just clarify, would you like to put in cards for the 2 items that get pulled?
No, I was putting one for you. I wasn't going to waste your time. I was going to do 3 minutes for consent and try to
Thank you.
save you some energy. But Palms West, I look at the extensions. The one thing about consent, some of the items that are on consent, they've had extensions. They get a 3-year extension over again. One is from 2007. They just keep postponing and postponing different items at different times. And it's very difficult because we are of the ilk, when we see you speak, the commissioners speak, we want to get the workforce housing done, we want to get the affordable housing done, and then somebody puts in an extension for 22 years. And we don't accomplish what we're saying that we need to do. So that's my concern with consent, because it's always a withdrawal, it's changing a height, it's endless. It's pages. I won't remind you how many pages of backup are on the consent agenda or the regular agenda. But it's insane, because I don't think the applicants should get a free pass all the time. And that's what we do, like withdrawals and postponements. You don't know sometimes till you walk in the door who is going to withdraw or postpone something inevitably. So hopefully you're going to start stepping on the applicant's toes a little bit and saying, hey, if you come in here, we want you to do what you say you're going to do. We don't want you to come in and postpone it 17 times or change it 17 times. I think we deserve that everybody deserves that. Because as far as I'm concerned, we should be driving on diamonds. Our roads shouldn't have potholes. We should have many, many things happening in our county. But I try not to yell about it too much. But this is a crazy agenda, even for you. It's hard for you to follow. So there you go. So think about the people that are out there that can't follow it. They're not savvy applicants coming up and saying, well, this is what we want to do. And we aren't former anything. We're just people, but we do. When we hear what you're saying, we want it to happen also in a timely manner, and it is not. Palms West is an example. It's expanding, and I don't even want to tell you how much trouble there is on both sides of the coin at Palms West Hospital. But thank you for your time.
Thank you. All righty. We are done with consent. We will now take the first item that was on consent.
Do we have a vote?
Yeah.
No, we're going to discuss B1 now. We did the motion and the approval for consent. Okay. And that's when you reminded us that we had a card. So now we're going to go to item B1 that was pulled by Commissioner Sacks. So Commissioner Sacks, what would you like from staff here?
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. First, I want to thank the applicant, Jeff Brophy, on the one that I pulled, All Seasons Delray Beach. Jeff, you want to come on up and get a compliment? You don't want to. you don't
Please, I
have
will
to,
take
right.
one, yeah.
And I want to say that we have worked on this. We've met on site. Mr. Brophy brought the developers on site. We had a very good discussion. And I want to read into the record why I pulled it and that the condition that will be met by Mr. Brophy, by his clients. And I'm going to read this. The border vegetation to the east will be a type 3 incompatibility buffer. Never heard of an incompatibility buffer, but it's what is needed here, which includes 3 rows of shrubs. The minimum size on the large shrubs is 6 feet at time of installation across the entire length of the buffer. There's also 14-foot tall native canopy trees at the time of installation planted every 20 feet. The other buffers are right-of-way buffers that will meet all code requirements, and this is to make sure that the congregate living that is going to go on this site will have a buffer between them and a family residence that just lies to the east of them. And I think that this, unless there's a card on this, I think that this satisfies my requirements for compatibility with the folks living to the east. I'm glad that you agreed to it. Unfortunately, I hate to do this at the 11th hour, Chief. We'll discuss that at a later time today. But with that condition, then I would move that we approve this application, Mayor.
Okay. All right. We have, okay, so we have a first by Commissioner Sacks, a second by Commissioner Woodward, who came in before you. We do have, if there are any disclosures, let's disclose them at this time. So we'll start with Commissioner Sacks.
Thank you, Mayor. For item number 1, All Seasons, I've had verbal communications, a phone call with Jeff Brophy. I have on-site meeting with Jeff Brophy, Pete Odorico, Paula Luptik, L.A. Zacharidas, Beth Schranz, and I've received and filed emails and an Outlook calendar invites. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. On item 1, I had verbal communication with Jennifer Morton, Lauren McClellan, Steve Bednar, Jeff Brophy, and Ellie Zacharidas, and email correspondence that have been filed.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Baxter.
For item number 1, I have had no written communication. My staff had verbal communication with Jeff Brophy and no site visit.
Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. I had verbal communications with Jeff Brophy and Ellie Zacharidas. I had email correspondence filed with the clerk.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For item number 1, I have had no verbal communication and no email communication.
Thank you. And for item number 1, I had verbal communications with Jeff Brophy, Ellie Zacharidas, Jennifer Morton, and Steve Bednar. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do.
Any
Just to
questions
clarify,
from staff?
those are brand-new conditions that you just read into the record? Okay.
So we are making the motion, including the conditions that were just read into the record by Commissioner Sacks. Would the applicant like to comment?
We're in agreement with the conditions as presented for the landscape and appreciate the compliment. I don't get those often, so thank you.
Thank you very much. I see no lights on, so at this time, we'll take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Please see that the motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
We will now move on to item 4. Commissioner Sacks, would you like to tell us of your questions here?
Thank you so much. And if I could have the applicant come forward on number 4, which is Shadowwood MUPD. And I want to thank you also for working with me and as well as the owner-developer of this area. As many people may not know, this is an iconic development in District 5 that has been a real community meeting place, and I have to say that, and tell me the last name of, and I know she's here. Is it Nicole that we've been dealing?
Nicole Scheinman, yes.
Okay, Nicole, thank you so much for working with me. Nicole is a mom and is also a resident of District 5, very close to here. And again, I am adding that we are going, this is a commitment that we have, to continue the conversation with staff regarding 2 items. One, possibility of housing on this development, and the second is a very good possibility, commitment of a bookstore to replace the one that has been abandoned and taken off. So I want to thank you very much and to thank Nicole. We've had numerous discussions on this issue, and I'm very happy to say that I would like to move that it's be part of our agenda today.
Can we legally tell them they have to have a bookstore?
No, there's a commitment to continue the conversation, a very strong commitment to add a bookstore to the development that they're putting in.
If I may, Mayor, yeah, and we've
Right
been speaking with Commissioner Sachs. There was a Barnes & Noble out here. We had multiple conversations with Commissioner Sachs while we were working through this. My client is actively and has represented that they are marketing towards and in active discussions with some bookstores. Obviously, there can't be a condition. We can't force any retail user to sign a lease in our center. But yes, we are actively working towards and committing to placing a bookstore in the center if that is a possibility. And the market allows for it. With regard to residential, up until maybe September or October of last year, that is the direction we were moving with this project. We were seeking to introduce a residential and redevelop a very significant amount of the commercial component of this very large and old shopping center for a variety of different reasons. The residential component is really not ready to move forward, but Commissioner Sachs has been a big advocate. I do believe it is probably a very appropriate place for it, given the location of the shopping center. And when the time is right, and I believe Commissioner Sachs and her office are going to spearhead a meeting amongst my client, maybe her office, and some county zoning and planning staff to determine whether or not that is a possibility in the future for this shopping center. So happy on both counts.
Thank you.
And with that, I move that item number 4, which is designated as ABN/2 DOA 2024-00774, be admitted as part of our agenda. Thank you.
So you're making a motion to approve?
Correct.
Okay, and I have a second from Commissioner Woodward. Any comments? I see no lights on. We did disclosures on this? We did not? Okay. Any disclosures on number 4? Commissioner Sachs, looks like you have several.
Thank you so much. On item number 4, Shadowwood, I have verbal communication, a phone call with Scott Backman and Nicole Scheinman, and receive and file emails, Outlook calendar invites as well. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. I had verbal communication with Scott Backman.
Vice Mayor Baxter.
No disclosures.
Commissioner Weiss.
I had verbal communications with Scott Backman.
Commissioner Powell. Thank you. I have no disclosures also. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? See that motion also carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I believe we have dispensed with the consent agenda and all items on consent. We are now moving to the regular agenda. We are going to hear item 10, 11 together. And so if there are any cards, we'll take one card in total for the item. So if there's anybody that put multiple cards in, we're just going to be taking one card. And so staff, how would you like to go about presenting?
We'll have the applicant present first and then staff.
Okay.
But let's do our disclosures.
You want to do our disclosures first? Okay. This would be on item number 11, please. Commissioner Sachs, any disclosures on item 11?
On item 11, I have no disclosures.
Commissioner Woodward, sorry.
Yes, I had verbal communication with Josh Nichols.
Vice Mayor Baxter.
For item number 11, emails are received and filed with the clerk, and my staff and I have had verbal communications with Josh Nichols, no site visit.
Commissioner Weiss.
On item number 11, I had verbal communications with Josh Nichols, Daniela Acosta, Mr. and Mrs. Smigel.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell.
On item 11, I have no disclosures. No disclosures.
Thank you. And my staff had verbal communication with Josh Nichols. So now that disclosures are done, Mr. Nichols, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Josh Nichols with Schmidt Nichols, agent for the applicant. I do have a presentation if you'd so like to hear it. It combines 10 and 11, those two items. If you choose not to hear that, I do have Danny Acosta here with the development team. She just wanted to read something into the record real quick. So just before you make that decision, I wanted to let her.
Commissioner Baxter, this is your district. Any preference?
I don't need a presentation, but if she would like to read it into the record, that'd be fine.
That's good.
Good morning, Honorable County Commissioners. My name is Danny Acosta, and I am here with great honor representing Mecca Farms. The Mecca family has been farming tomatoes produced in Palm Beach County since the 60s. They were originally farmed in western New York and fully moved their operations to the Lantana location in 1973. As most of you know, the NAFTA trade agreement was the beginning of the end of many produce farmers here in the United States. The Mecca family and all other families in Palm Beach County vehemently fought against this disastrous policy. Since then, 90% of farmers that farm tomatoes and fresh produce have gone out of business, which in turn, local farmers have had to develop some of their land. This great farming family's legacy is the reserve of Eagles Landing. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Would you like a staff presentation? No. Commissioner Sachs.
I just want to thank Ms. Acosta for that brilliant essay. Thank you so much. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Do we have any cards?
We have one card, Alexandria Larson.
Thank you. Ms. Larson?
That was a lovely speech about farming, but nothing, as when they did the comp plan, commissioners, nothing west of State Road 7 was supposed to turn into anything because it backs up to the Arthur Marshall. The farming was kind of a buffer between city, too much overdevelopment because we're ruining things, we're hurting places. Right at Boynton Beach Boulevard and State Road 7, it still tests for chemicals that were used in the 70s. DDT still shows up at Boynton Beach and 441. It really does, with DEP and the acronyms. And this is stuff that we've always tried to avoid. And to change it from rural to urban exurban just doesn't, urban suburban, I apologize, is just nuts. We've got to find a happy medium somehow, because we're doing something for the future. We really are. When there was a lady who spoke earlier about our kids and the development that's going near them and changing their neighborhood. We've got to, I swear you could step back for 8 years and not do anything, and a lot of stuff would still get built, but we would do a study of what we are doing to this county. Because when I went to Water Management District a couple of Thursdays ago, I can't tell you how much fun I had there. When I went to the Solid Waste Authority, I can't tell you what fun I have there. And when I come here, I can't. I'm up all night, commissioners, because I give a damn. There's something wrong with me. I am an unpaid housewife who comes in and fights for my county. Everybody else sitting here today, they're getting a salary. I'm not. And I've been doing it for a long time. I did miss a couple of years because of illness, but it's something that we really need to take. I want you to do a study on the county and what we've done to it. Not on workforce housing, not on anything. I want to know how much we've destroyed since 1989, because I could give you a lesson on it. I got a lot of paperwork in my garage. I really do. Rose has got a lot of paperwork also. Even though she's not with us and coming to the meetings anymore, her knowledge is still sitting in a lot of paperwork. So I want you, I'm kind of begging you, we cannot be changing rural to urban suburban. You got to take a breath. And I'm going to, I don't know. Hopefully you'll do that. But thank you.
Thank you. So we're taking separate motions, correct, on items 10 and 11?
Yeah, that's correct. The planning application first and then the zoning.
Thank you. So may I get a motion to adopt an ordinance approving item number 10?
So moved.
Thank you. I have a first from Vice Mayor Baxter, a second from Commissioner Weiss.
I'll also make the motion to approve item number 11.
We got to vote first.
Sorry.
That's no problem. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? See that motion carries 6-0.
And I'll make the motion to approve item number 11. Do we have separate cards for these?
No, we're going to do that with anything where there's multitudes, we're going to combine.
Okay.
And I had another second from Commissioner Weiss. Thank you. All in favor? All opposed? See that motion carries 6-0 also. All righty, so we are on item 12, and we're going to hear 12, 13, and 14 together. And so if there are multiple cards, we're only taking one card for all three. And we're going to do disclosures for 12. Actually, we're going to do disclosures for 14 because that's the only place we need them. So I'll start with Commissioner Powell this time. Any disclosures on item number 14?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've had verbal communication and email correspondence with Scott Bachman and Matthew Barnes.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. I had verbal communications with Matt Barnes and Scott Bachman and email correspondence.
Thank you.
That's been filed with the clerk.
Vice Mayor Baxter.
Thank you, Mayor. I've had emails received and filed with the clerk, verbal communications with Scott Bachman, Kelly Quinn, Matthew Barnes, Cynthia DePonte, Tom Dorita, Zachary Schmidt, and no site visit.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you. I had verbal communication with Scott Bachman and Matt Barnes and email correspondence.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs.
Thank you. I've had verbal communications with Scott Bachman and received and filed emails and also
Thank you. And I had verbal communications with Scott Bachman and Matthew Barnes. All righty, so we will hear from the applicant.
Good morning.
This time, Commissioner Baxter, would you like a presentation?
Yes, please.
You would like
A
one?
brief
Okay.
one, if
I
you
was
wouldn't
going to offer
mind.
that. I'm going to have Matt come up and make the presentation. It will be fairly brief. We've pared it down. Before he does so, I would just like to say this one took a few hairs out of my head, but it's been a fairly lengthy and good discussion with county staff over the course of the year or so we've been at this, and as evidenced by the conditions that Wendy read into the record at the beginning, I think we've reached compromise. I think my client's not terribly happy. I think the county wanted more, so I think we ended up in a good place. And with that, I will let Matt make a brief presentation to you all, and we're here to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Matthew Barnes, Senior Project Manager with WGI. Let's see. Yeah. So the project is located in the western reaches of the county, just to the north and west of Lion Country Safari, with the access on 180th Avenue North, south of Sycamore Drive. Oops, delay. So the applications, it's a land use change. It's a text amendment to the comprehensive plan to create the Loxahatchee Estates overlay, as well as a Class A conditional use and a preliminary subdivision plan. It's been a long process. This slide particularly brings me joy because every time we make a presentation, the green text moves down on the slide. So we started this with, back in March of 2024 last year. it's been through, you've seen it twice already. It's been initiated by this board, transmitted, and now we're here obviously for adoption of all three of those applications. The text amendment briefly is just to create, the Loxahatchee Estates overlay, which allows for the application of the LR1 land use essentially in the rural tier here. It specifically defines the boundaries of the overlay to this property. It requires, as we've done, it requires it to come through concurrently with the zoning application. It limits the density to no more than 1 unit per 1 acre. And as you'll see in a second on the actual subdivision plan, we're not even close to that. We're more at 1 unit for every 2 acres. And in terms of the lot size, we're actually less dense than the acreage to the east of us, where the acreage is about it's 1 lot for every 1.24 or 1.25 acres. Again, we're at 1 lot for every 2 acres when you factor in the stormwater retention, the private road, the recreation area, the environmental upland set aside. And then this is the subdivision plan, right? So most of the lots are concentrated onto the what we call the north parcel, and there's a stormwater retention lake in the middle, which drains out to the west, so one of the Indian Trail Improvement District canals. The 25% set aside for the upland is, excuse me, on the south parcel. And just so you know, excuse me, the one condition that we were, wrestling with up until the end is, of course, for the dedication of the fire station, which I'm happy to report we came to, as Scott mentioned, a compromise, and it's those 2 lots that you see to the far left of the screen, the southernmost 2 lots that abut 180th Avenue North. Those are the 2 lots, the 2 acres that will be dedicated for the fire station. And actually, I should have just gone to this. This is the one, the one that are shaded in red is the area for the fire station. Staff recommends approval. It's been a pleasure working with staff, and we've come to the conclusion. So, with that, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Baxter.
Not so much a question, just a thank you for, they had met with me quite a while ago and wanted to know what I would have suggested or what I would have liked to see. And I said, if we're going to change anything, I want to make sure it matches the surrounding area with acres and homes and not have high density. So I just want to thank everyone for presenting this and not trying to put some strange apartment complex or townhomes in the middle of our amazing area. So just working with you has been a pleasure. So thank you so much. And thank you to staff for negotiating and finding and allowing for the civic fire station to be located where it is now located. So just want to thank everyone for working together and making this beneficial for the most amount of people.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you. Is there a time period on which the fire station is to be built?
So the timeline for dedicating the civic site, as we just call it that, it would be prior to the issuance of the first certificate of occupancy for a unit in the development.
So they'll dedicate the site, but what about, and I guess this is to our staff, do we have a timeline on when this will be built?
We don't have a timeline on that. Once the property's acquired and we're at that point, then we can talk about how we would program it potentially for design up to construction. But there's not a hard time frame. We couldn't predict it. First CO on the construction of the residential units, don't know when that would be.
I think it should be concurrent with the CO of those units. I mean, if we're, and I don't disagree with having the land for the fire station and really appreciate everybody getting together on that. But what I see so often is we get these civic sites and they can sit out there for 20 years. And if this is a health and safety issue, I'd really like to see that we have a commitment to get this built and, to help support those homes out there.
And understand your point, Commissioner, and certainly a commitment to get it built. It's a fluid situation out there. It was a site that was needed, that was identified, the general area by fire rescue. With our world changing out there, and fire rescue could speak to it more on the needs.
I understand the need. I don't disagree with that. But if we have a need, then we need to take care of it. and I want to make sure it gets programmed. And if we've identified the need, we're going to have the land at the first CO, then we need to make sure it gets programmed. Do you disagree?
Mayor?
Go right ahead.
I guess my question is, who are you wanting to make sure, are you wanting a commitment from fire?
No, yeah, no, from, the fire doesn't build them.
Correct. So we, the
We build-
board,
we-
set a timeline. You want us to set a timeline. So it was my understanding, and I know that we've been talking about this being a site for fire, but would it not just be an overall civic site
No, I think it's a fire.
or just fire? What are we,
And I'm going to ask staff to correct me if I'm wrong. The dedication is on Civic.
Its dedication on civic is typically worded, I don't know if Eric's here, I prepared the add delete last night, but I didn't read every word.
Eric is here.
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. For the record, Eric McClellan, Director of Strategic Planning for Facilities Development Operations. Through our review, fire rescue was the only service deficiency we had identified, and for that reason, there is language in the comprehensive plan condition that this would be a site for a future fire rescue facility.
and I don't mind that, but I believe to answer your question then, is that I don't believe this site is going to, what was it, like, generate one call in addition to everything else that is out there. I want our residents to be safe, but also I don't want to put pressure on our fire rescue. I believe we already have, because there was a more immediate need even down the road. So I don't want to prioritize this, because the Arden residents have been very vocal about needing another fire station to come first. So I appreciate you fighting for my district, absolutely. But I don't think that this needs to be prioritized at this exact moment. If calls increase, because, it was stated there haven't been enough at this moment. This is future planning, unless I misunderstood that.
You're correct. Yep. If we're not planning ahead, we're behind.
Right, so this was for some time in the future. But again, I do appreciate you stepping up for the district. And thank you for the hard work, guys. But no, I don't think we need to put a timeline on this. If our amazing firefighters come to us and say, hey, the calls warrant us needing this, and they'll put it in their queue. And Chief Kennedy, if you don't mind answering a question. Hate to put you on the spot last minute, but you're here, so.
He's a firefighter, they use
Yes, ma'am. So, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board, and then this has been a team effort, and I think it's been mentioned by everybody. It really is about planning. What we're running into with growth, and it's the decisions are brought before the board. It's the people that want to come live in Palm Beach County for very good reasons. It's about public safety, and we are seeing this being dynamic. We're seeing the growth out in the Arden area. We're seeing the growth over in the south end. So we are definitely planning for fire stations, and this is more about planning for the future.
And you prioritize which fire stations get built based on?
The comp plan elements, and I'm going to probably have to stop there and then look to the back to the intelligence of this operation, which is Joe Gregory, which is our planning director. But there are elements in the comp plan that we look at, and there's multiple elements.
But there's
in
a
there.
formula based on calls. Is that
That's
the
correct.
simplest way to put that?
There's-
I don't need the.
It's several elements in there.
There's a lot of elements, and so this would just be another space that if it reached those elements, let's say, that it would then enter the queue to be built.
That's
Is
correct.
my understanding.
Right now, and I think we're somewhere around 300 calls in that area, just under 300
Yes, we're
calls.
at Jill Gregory, Fire Rescue. Yes, we're at 366 calls. The comp plan says 3 calls a day, which is 1,095 calls a year. And yes, we put that in prioritization along with response times.
Thank you for that information. And so that was, I'm just making sure that I'm understanding everything I've heard previously and still current. So thank you for answering the questions last minute.
Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell, your light is on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chief Kennedy, sorry to call you back. Just quick question. With regard to fire stations, I know we've broke ground on a couple of fire stations recently. Approximately, what's the cost of a brand new fire station?
He always goes higher than my number. So this is Assistant Chief Dave Woodside. He oversees that, but I can tell you that I think we're ranging anywhere. I think Station 40 was probably 12 million. Dave?
Yeah.
So, and that was planned years in advance.
That's just the station, that's not the equipment, that's not the staff.
That's not today's barometer and today's price tag.
Okay.
That's correct. And, you know, the going price right now, and this is around Florida as a whole, whether it's up in Panhandle, what have you, it's about $1,000 a square foot for just the station. A ladder truck is $2.5 million. Engine is about $1 million cost nowadays.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, both chiefs. I just wanted to make sure that we recognize this, as we recently did. You know, I'm kind of new here. We recently did a budget exercise, and in that budget exercise, there was direction to potentially cut ad valorem taxes, and we're looking at the state legislature, which I, for some reason, happen to keep up with a little bit, is looking at a study to look at property taxes and things like that. Just keep in mind, BCC members, that if we're talking about $12 million for a fire station, and if it wasn't in this recent budget, it has to be budgeted somewhere. So that's really my question in terms of moving forward. I know we want to expedite things, but we should probably keep that in mind. With that being said, I do want to thank staff and Matt Barnes and Scott Backman for working together to come up and negotiate a location for the particular civic site. I know there was a point of contention, and I know in negotiation, in the art of negotiation, the best negotiations are where everybody walks away and nobody's completely happy. So I want to thank you all for that. But I did want to point out that fire stations are not, you don't just say, well, we're going to do a fire station this year. I think we're responsible for the costs or paying for those. So just keep that in mind. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so do we have any cards?
We do. Alexandria Larson.
We'll just say 20 million for a firehouse. Let's start with the numbers. I added it up last night. It was pretty simple. When you add in the hook and ladder and everybody else, it pretty much gets to 20 million now. It makes me sad when these people, they bought 100 acres of land. They were zoned for 1 per 10 on 3 sides. It says it on page 8 of the backup. It does. And everybody, we're giving bonuses to everybody. I think we should give all the taxpayers a bonus. Everybody who gets affected by planning and zoning should get $100 from the county. We're messing up your lives because these people are going to say they haven't got an exit out of their place like Arden. Arden, they moved in out on Southern Boulevard and said, there's traffic. We can't get out of here. They didn't see I tell people when they move out where I live, you didn't see the dirt when you moved in because the realtors told them it was going to be paved in Paradise and Disney from the day they moved in. It's not. And I think the setback should be 50 feet from people because this is not exactly like the acreage is set up. We're going to set up a couple of circles of houses with a lake in the middle. We've got an impoundment area out there. It's called the M2 impoundment area. It's from Indian Trail. There's a lot going on, commissioners, and you should do a site visit. For God's sakes, if you're going to zone something, go look. Go look at how it changes things, because the only road out of there is Allen Black. And then you could go north to Sycamore. I mean, this is another, and they are not wide roads. The one, Allen Black, is about this wide. 2 fat women can't go down that road. Cars can't pass each other when they're big trucks. You should get a feel for everything, because I do. I love that my commissioner is saying we don't have to worry about fire rescue, because there's a lot of calls, and they're putting in speed humps. Indian Trail puts in humps and bumps, which does a great idea for your car when you're going over them, because even the fire rescue has admitted it slows them down to go over the humps and the bumps. It does. It's something that they've talked about at Indian Trail for 100 years. But I look at this, expedited applications. They said, oh, we've been doing this a long time. Since May of 2024? No. Talk about 30 years. Come out and talk to the people who've been there for 30 years. We've already been violated with Wellington coming up the road, voting on an issue to annex, and there was only 19 votes when you're supposed to have 25 in our charter. It's in the charter. And we just keep doing stuff, and we hope nobody notices. But this is another place that's going to say, we can't get out of here. And it is. It's a dead end into Cheatham Hill Boulevard. It's not a main road. None of these are main roads. Seminole Pratt is, and it'll get bigger and wider and larger. But please, do some site visits. And if you're changing the ULDC and zoning, I should get 2 cards, not 1. It's 2 separate items.
Do we have any other cards?
Mayor, I'd like to clarify something.
Go right ahead.
I never said we do not need to worry about fire. We have a process within the county that says if we have a civic site available for a fire rescue station, and there is a certain formula, which was the point I was trying to make, that once it reaches a certain call volume, the fire station will be added to the queue to be built. And to Commissioner Powell's point, they are not inexpensive, so we can't just build them all as soon as we need them. So this is future planning, and I do again want to thank staff. Also, the speed humps, just to be very clear, the county has nothing to do with the awful speed humps that I do not like that are in the Acreage and Loxahatchee area. Those were voted on by a previous Indian Trail Improvement District board who has authority over those roads. They are awful, they're terrible, and I don't like them because they tear up everyone's vehicle, and everyone has been complaining about them, but we have no authority over that. So if you would like them removed, please reach out to your Indian Trails Improvement District. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have no more cards. We will take 3 separate votes. So the first vote will be on item 12, which would be a motion to adopt an ordinance approving item 12.
I would like to make the motion to approve item number 12.
And do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Vice Mayor Baxter, a second from Commissioner Weiss. All in favor? All opposed? See that the motion carries 6-0. We will move on to item number 13, which is a motion to approve staff recommendation for item 13.
I would like to make the motion. Do you need, hold on, Wendy's have her hand up.
A correction that there will be 2 hearings on the amendment to the code. So for this, the second motion, approval and permission to advertise for first reading of an ordinance at the BCC hearing. So for that one.
With that being said, I would like to make the motion to approve item number 13.
Okay. Did you get the addition of the second motion? Or addition of the second item, I should say. Wendy, would you read that again for the record?
Yeah, so the second motion, we have an add delete for an addition of a motion A. Motion B had to be corrected to remove the word and adoption because there's 2 hearings. So it's approval of permission to advertise for first reading of an ordinance at the BCC hearing on March 27th, 2025.
So can we take those motions together? Okay, so having those recorded now, we had a motion from Commissioner Baxter, Vice Mayor Baxter, a second from Commissioner Weiss. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? See that those 2 motions carry 6-0. Those were item number 13. We are now on to item number 14.
Mayor, I would like to make the motion to approve item number 14.
Second.
We have a motion from the Vice Mayor, a second from Commissioner Weiss. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? See that motion carries 6-0. We have withdrawn items number 15 and 16. We are now on to C, ULDC revisions. This is the Affordable Housing Program parking waiver. Do we have any cards on item number 17? Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I do need to go back. I do have a disclosure back on the Four Seasons whenever we get a chance.
Go right ahead. So let the record reflect that Commissioner Powell is going to add some disclosures to the consent agenda item, All Seasons.
Yeah, so I did have a Zoom meeting with WGI Inc. With Jeff Brophy and Melissa McKinley.
Thank you. Okay. Back to item number 14. This is, staff is looking for permission to advertise. Would you like to do a presentation?
At the discretion of the board, but ultimately what we're requesting is permission to advertise for the March 27th hearing. We're looking to establish a new type 2 waiver for the board's consideration that would allow reductions in our parking calculation for projects that are affordable housing projects and located within our redevelopment area of the county. And this is the alternative to processing a variance.
Thank you. So we have 4 cards. We're going to go ahead and give everyone 3 minutes.
We have Josh Nichols, Alexandria Larson, Meredith Lee, and Daniel Marakowitz. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Commissioners, Josh Nichols with Schmidt-Nichols. This actually, as many times as I've been up here, this is my first card I've ever put in, so I'm excited. So I'm here in support of this amendment. We've been working on a project that does link to this. That's why I have an interest, but I also think it's good planning practice. So obviously about a year and a half ago or so, the BCC had challenged staff to come up with some flexible regulations, things that we can use to incentivize affordable housing. We obviously need that in the county in certain places that make sense. This is specific to the URA, so that's where we want to see affordable and workforce housing. And the only way we're going to get there with some of the other regulations of, you know, the rec requirement, the drainage requirement, is to reduce some of our parking requirements, especially for those that are going for affordable density bonus. So that's what this is. So again, it's on a case-by-case basis. There's guardrails on it for a parking management plan. The only other option we would have is a variance, and most of these are greenfield sites, so there's not really a hardship there. And again, focused on affordable housing density bonus in the URA, and again, trying to get more units where it makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Baxter.
My question is for Lisa. Thank you, Mayor. Question, have we addressed the parking island requirements that take up a whole spot?
No, we haven't.
And because don't we require an island every so many spots? Every 10 spaces? I mean, if we're trying to really maximize the amount of people need places to park, right? And so I'm just asking that maybe we could take a look at that as well in certain circumstances. I'd love to hear what Commissioner Powell has to say. This is a little bit his area.
Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, and thank you, Madam Mayor, for the opportunity to speak on that. I think it's an interesting concept as a planner. I mean, it's probably something we should look at, but some of the challenges with having a landscape island is in parking lots and parking spaces, you do want to provide tree canopy, and sometimes we even look for parking spaces that are covered, and also part of the environment. When you start thinking about that, what we require, you want to make sure that we're in line with what most other municipalities are doing. I know for some of the other municipalities that I'm aware of, it's 10 spaces and then a landscape island. Some are even 8 spaces. Some landscape islands can be 10 feet wide, some can be 5 feet, but depending on what type of vegetation or tree you put in there, you want to make sure that you're doing what's best for the community. So I get what you're saying in terms of wanting to maximize parking spaces, but the more parking you have, you remember some of the things that come from parking spaces and the cost of providing parking. You do want to balance that out with some type of landscaping and vegetation. We don't want to be a place that is a concrete jungle, in my opinion. So that's really my concern and caution with eliminating the need or the necessity for landscape islands. But I would also recommend that we work with the planners. This is something that is not brand new, but we do realize we are Florida.
You want some shade?
Some places we've seen the concrete jungle, and those parking lots also give off a lot of heat. So that would be my concern with making those types of changes to the parking, but it's, I would pass it back to the
We do
planners.
have in our pipeline landscape regulation changes. There was some changes done a couple years ago, I think it was 2018, that increased the compatibility buffer from 5 feet to 8 feet. And we have had a lot of challenges with industrial areas and pre-existing sites with that. I think the board just initiated a resilience element with Megan Houston. So, and I know since someone close to me is going to University of Florida, that they do drainage in their landscape islands, and they do those eco swales and different strategies like that. And I've seen a lot of those islands up in Gainesville. So I think that's on the table already for looking at different strategies with the landscape code. There's a couple changes that we just really need to address that maybe we can bring back on a broader area, but having a tree canopy for shade is important for the residential areas. But we will add the islands to that conversation as we work on that this summer.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Baxter.
Thank you. I just want to, I love that we have shade in our parking lots, so I don't want to make anyone think that I'm trying to get rid of all shade. I guess what I should have been more clear on is maybe providing a waiver for certain instances, that if we are trying to maximize parking in certain developments, maybe smaller parking lots, maybe the building provides shade. But I've also noticed that not all of our parking islands have shade trees in them. They're just an island taking up space. So that's where I guess my bigger concern is. So if we could just maybe look at some options and make it more flexible for people, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, and thanks for introducing this topic of conversation, and thank you, Commissioner Powell, for mentioning the trees. I just wanted to mention, as we are currently designing a park down south, but it's a landscape architect firm, and this came up into conversation that a lot of the parking requirements with spacing for trees, it's not actually good for canopy trees. It's a lot of it ends up being a palm tree or something that has very little canopy, and some of that we could look at addressing. Maybe it's further spacing, but with the allowance of an actual canopy tree. And I agree, if an island doesn't have a shade tree on it, it's kind of just an annoyance. So yeah, I look forward to that future discussion, because landscape architecture's come a long way from what we knew 20 years ago and stuff. And there's even trees that soak up a lot of gallons of water. There's options for us, but I appreciate this topic of conversation, and more shade, please.
Thank you. All right, so I think we've asked all our questions, and we have how many more cards? Okay.
You ready? You could put in a Florida live oak. It's a native tree. It's real pretty. And they get lots of shade. Because I was questioning the 1.75. Is this like we have the 2.1 children? We have 2 children and a knee? Because when we do our numbers in government, it's always funny to me when they say 1.75, because is that a car and a bicycle? A car and a golf cart? Because if you get 2 spots per house, because generally with affordable housing, there would be 2 people married with children, and their children might have a car. So I'm curious about the 1.75 spots, because that does not seem like it would accommodate everything that we want to do. Because they should be comfortable too, unless you're going to do double-decker parking, where they drive up a ramp and they're sitting on top of the other car. Maybe that's what we're planning, because it was an unusual number. So hopefully you look at like you said, landscape architecture's come a long way, but I don't think we can overcome that everybody wants a car. It's not changing. Electric, whatever, everybody wants a car. And not everybody keeps a car, not everybody, there's some people riding bicycles, but very few. They are not riding from 20 Mile Bend to downtown on a bicycle. I can assure you. So take that in mind, because when I see the numbers and I'm reading them at night, I'm like, how are you going to make that work, commissioners? And how do we keep putting a square peg in a round hole? You can't. But thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mayor, Vice Mayor. My name is Meredith Lay. I'm with Schutz & Bowen. And I wanted to thank staff for their efforts on this amendment and others for working with us and others in the development community to bring this before you. We have an application in for a project that will be coming before you later on this year, so we do have a vested interest in this amendment. So I feel that it's very timely, and it has the potential to make a difference in the development of more affordable housing in the county. We understand that applicants have a burden to bear to make sure that that demonstrate that the waiver is justified for their project. And that is the right thing to do. But if we can have the flexibility of being able to reduce the parking to what is actually needed, that benefits projects on tight sites like ours, where we can have more green space or recreation, more water retention. Stuff like that enables us to reduce the heat island effect of our projects, and it also encourages the use of public transportation. So having a well-placed project that can benefit from this waiver is a great thing. So we appreciate the direction of the board and for staff for bringing this forward, and we hope that you'll support it as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe we have one more card.
Hi, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members. Danny Morakovitz, Traybell Housing. I'm an affordable housing developer here. Just two quick things, it won't be too long. They were mentioned. Ultimately, lowering the parking footprint allows more units, which the county and the people living here desperately need. And number two, like Commissioner Powell said, we don't want to have affordable housing buildings that look like concrete jungles. Us as developers, our job, we try our best to make these type of properties look like market rate properties. And having an affordable housing project on site with just parking around it, it's not great for the community, it's not helpful for the people living there, and like Meredith just said, it opens more green space, more community space. It just creates an overall better site look, a better environment for those living in this property. And lastly, I just also would like to thank staff. I know they've been very instrumental in doing this and working really hard, and ultimately I think it will benefit everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss?
Thank you. First off, I want to thank staff. This was, we gave direction a while ago. It had to do, because this had come up with an affordable housing project in District 2 that was being built on a church site, and they had to go through the process of getting a variance. This makes much more sense. And just to also to reiterate, these will come back in front of the board. So if this does move through, what's being proposed will come back in front of the board, will give us an opportunity to look at the totality of the project, but be able to grant a waiver and avoid having to have a variance. And so more streamlined, save time, and hopefully take cost out of these some of these affordable housing developments, but yet providing the necessary parking and other things that they need. So with that, I'll make a motion to move to advertise.
I have a motion from Commissioner Weiss, a second from Commissioner Woodward. Commissioner Powell, you have your light on?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just reiterating the point I made a couple weeks ago. I believe this is something that we should be moving forward with, but keeping in mind that we don't want to, I like the idea of case-by-case basis, but keeping in mind that we don't want to create developments where it may be an affordable development, but then people's cars end up getting towed because they're either parking in visitors parking or not parking in spaces at all. So as you do this on a case-by-case basis, just please make sure that we are cognizant of situations where there may be opportunities for people who, my time's up. People who are just trying to get by are not towed and now forced to, go and get their car. And I think Ms. Larson did make a pretty good point. 1.75 spaces depends on the number of units there. That's how you end up with you solve the equation to get the whole. But, if there's a number of people with 2 cars, more than we expect, then you've got a problem. But hopefully we end up in a situation where we're able to develop more units. We make it better for the community, and the number one job of a planner is to serve the public interest. So we're hopeful that on a case-by-case basis, this helps people with the problem that we're having here in Palm Beach County, which is people being able to live and pay their rent and still have money left over potentially. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sacks.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. It's so nice to have a planner amongst us because the points that he has made, Commissioner Powell has made, is important. A number of things, also the points that were made by the attorney and the developer, is that we can substitute additional parking for green space, for additional units, for recreation areas. Also, we need to make sure that our affordable housing, workforce housing, homeless housing is close to transit corridors so that people are able to get to work without having to have a car. And that's just good planning. And I think that, that if we plan well for these units and these large affordable housing programs, that we can do it without losing sight that people need to they're living here so that they can be able to afford it. They don't need to have 4 and 5 car spaces. They need to be able to be in a transit corridor to get to work, and that they are in areas where workforce is, where the work is, so that this is very good on planning. I'm so glad we're having this conversation, and I certainly support it. Thank you. Thank you for the work on this.
Thank you. I don't have to say anything. Everything's been said. So we have a first and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? See that the motion carries 6-0.
Madam Mayor, there's actually a second motion that was on add delete. I think you only mentioned the permission to advertise.
Sorry. Okay.
Motion to receive and file the business impact estimate.
Second.
I have the motion from Commissioner Weiss, a second from Vice Mayor Baxter. All in favor? All opposed? See that that motion carries 6-0. Thank you for reading that into the record. With all these adds and deletes, we get a little off kilter here. All righty. We are now on to item D18. There is no motion required. This is informational. And I just want to let everybody know we are going to take a break for lunch at 11:55. Commissioner Woodward has a meeting that she absolutely has to attend, and we will resume at 1:05 because luckily she gets to attend by Zoom. So we are moving staff around. And we are on item 18, monitoring of development orders workshop. Who's going first? Who's on first? That's the, if you haven't seen it, who's on first, what's on second? I don't know who's on third. You want to pull that towards your little
Can you hear
tree?
me? Okay. Twee Shutt from the Planning Division. This is item D18, monitoring. The item is before you as a follow-up to the January 30th board direction for staff to provide a presentation on development order monitoring, time extensions, and status report. This presentation will be provided as background information for the next agenda item, which is D19. Melissa Michael here from Planning is here to present to the board.
Okay, good morning.
Pull your microphone and turn it on.
Okay, now it's on. Okay. As Twee said, Melissa Michael with the Planning Division. I'll be
You're
presenting.
going to need to pull that closer to you because we can't hear you. And
I'm
if
so
we
used
can't,
to
anybody
standing
else
over
can.
there. It's much easier. I'll be presenting a summary of the development order process as well as an overview of the monitoring of development orders. Okay. So first I'll start with a brief overview of the development order process just to give everyone on the board a refresher. The ULDC defines a development order as any order granting with conditions, where's my mouse? Or denying an application for a development permit through procedures required by the code, which establishes the specific use or uses of land, sets the density, and involves the active and specific consideration by the Palm Beach County, by the board,
for a particular detailed development concept. A development order typically involves the submission and review of a plan, but may not necessarily involve such. The key word there is development permit, which the ULDC defines as any building permits, zoning permits such as rezoning, conditional uses, development order amendments, DRO administrative approvals, and as you can see, there's several actions that the Palm Beach County having the effect of permitting development of land for the specific use of land. So that is basically what comes out of your guys' approvals here. There are 2 approval types, administrative and public hearing. Administrative applications are decided on by the zoning director acting as the development review officer, examples of which include site plans, subdivision plans, special permits, concurrency, smaller, lower level things to review. Public hearing applications are decided by the Board of County Commissioners and or the Zoning Commission, which are, the Zoning Commission decides on Class B conditional uses and Type 2 variances, and the Board of County Commissioners decides on Class A conditional uses, rezoning, development or amendments, and such. So I'll go through basically the steps that happen to get an application to the board. The process begins with an applicant submitting an application to the zoning division. The zoning staff reviews the application for sufficiency, then distributes to the DRO reviewed agencies, which consist of 17 governmental agencies. Like today you saw Eric here for PREM. The DRO review agencies review and provide comment and or certification issues regarding the application's consistency with applicable regulations. They also can recommend conditions of approval when applicable. Upon resolution of comments and issues, and if the statutory time limit is reached, the application is certified and moves on to administrative approval or public hearing. And the next step in that is the certified application is then subject to decision by the DRO, the ZC, or the BCC. The decision-making bodies can either approve with conditions, or deny the application. And then that decision becomes the development order, which brings us to the monitoring process. Once the approval has been made for the development order, then the monitoring process begins. So let me give a little bit of background on monitoring and how long it's existed in the county, just so everyone is aware. The purpose of monitoring development orders is to ensure that conditions of approval are implemented and the development order commences in a timely manner. The intent of which is to preserve the availability of public services and ensure compliance with improved performance standards and design standards. For example, concurrency and traffic availability. The monitoring function has existed since its first iteration in the ULDC in 1992. In approximately 2009, the monitoring function was migrated into EPZB, the electronic database which the whole planning and zoning department utilizes to track development, which is building permits, zoning applications, planning review, everything. So let's delve into the essentials of the monitoring process. This illustration represents the basic flow of the process. The green circles are the best case scenario, which represents the typical progression from approval of a development order here to the completion of development. The monitoring function occurs in unison with the building permit process in order to monitor time certain or event-based conditions approval and commencement of development. Some examples of conditions of approval, they typically have to be satisfied by a due date or an event. So due date would be obviously a due date, event would be prior to building permit or prior to CO of that building permit. Another example is the traffic division's project build-out condition of approval, which is defined in Article 12 of the ULDC, which states that no building permit shall be issued after a certain date. Commencement of development happens after the building permit is issued. We monitor the commencement of development, which is for Commercial development is the passing of the inspection of the slab, and for residential development, it is the recordation of the plat. In order to ensure that development occurs in a timely manner, the ULDC provides clear time limitations, as discussed before. What that means is that every application that comes in front of the board, if it's approved, is required by the ULDC to commence development within 4 years of the adoption date of that development order. That has always existed since 1992. If they do not commence development within that 4-year time limit, then that is brought back in front of the board as a status report where you can make another decision on whether to grant a time extension, revoke, rezone, several actions. So the next thing would be what happens prior to time limitations expiring. What happens if the property owner fails to comply with them? Prior to having a status report, Article 2E allows for the property owner to apply for an administrative time extension for either commencement of development or conditions of approval. Commencement of development can receive a maximum of a 24-month administrative time extension, and administrative is 12. There is an exception for conditions of approval. For engineering's build-out condition of approval, the applicant has to submit a revised traffic study for the engineering director to review, the county engineer to review based on which complies with mandatory traffic reported standards at the time of the request. So it has to be a revised traffic study to re-review. So they can't receive an administrative time extension on that build-out condition without that review. Statutory time extensions, which have become a hot topic recently, is another avenue that property owners have been utilizing, which the county has no control over. So statutory time extensions are allowed per Section 252363 of the Florida statutes. It allows for the tolling and extension of a development order when the declaration of a state of emergency is issued by the governor for a natural emergency. This statute was created in 2011 and at that time included any state of emergency with no cap on the extension period. In 2021, the statute was amended to apply only to natural emergencies. And in 2023, the statute was amended to place a maximum on the 48-month extension period.
Hold on one second. Commissioner Powell, your light is on?
Commissioner Powell is familiar with these. I receive time extensions from him.
Quite a few. And I can wait until the end, but I know there was a challenge previously where if I have a project and I've gotten my tolling extended up to the 4 years now, previously, before the legislature changed it, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, depending on the number of time extensions you got. But if I do now a development order amendment, same project, change something, and we get a new date, does my time start from the new development order that was, or do I still get my extensions that the client has paid for?
Every approval for those time extensions, if you did a time extension for a prior approval, it only applies to that approval. So if you come back to the board and get a new approval, then you have to apply for, you can get an administrative if it applies, or if there's a current state of emergency statute one, you can apply for that one. But you can't retroactively add time extensions, statutory time extensions from old ones to new ones. They have a certain time where they're available.
Perfect.
Per the statute.
Follow up. But I can, if there's a time extension available, at the time of approval, I can apply for that time extension at the same time or right after that. So if I get my approval,
Correct.
I can
A statutory time extension, correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's where it gets murky. So basically, as Commissioner was saying, statutory time extensions exist in two parts. There is the tolling period, which is the amount of days the executive order is effective, plus the extension period, which is 24 months per state of emergency with now the 48-month max. So basically, you can only apply 2 concurrent states of emergency to that. One example that's been causing the most concern recently is the state of emergency declared by Hurricane Ian, which has been in effect since the initial executive order on September 24th, 2022. So I believe that tolling days right now are currently at 600 and something days plus the 24 months. Yeah, so effectively they have their 4 months or 4 years to commence, and now they're adding these statutory time extension, which is another 4 years, so 8 years. So that brings us to the star of today's show, status reports. If the property owner fails to comply with the time limitations, Article 2E requires that development order be reviewed by the approving decision-making body via a status report. An application for a status report may be requested by the property owner or initiated by staff if a property owner fails to comply with a time limitation and has not requested a time extension, or a project received a public hearing approval and has exhausted all the administrative time extensions. If a status report is initiated by staff, then the property owner is notified of the review as well as the public hearing date. So we give them prior notice via certified mail, hey, we're bringing your approval back to the board for review, and this is why it's expired, basically. Staff prepares a status report, which includes an analysis and review of previous time extensions, changed circumstances, and mitigating factors that prevent compliance and consistency with the comprehensive plan and the code, which you'll see as the next item. The BCC or ZC then shall consider the factors enumerated in the review criteria and the recommendation of staff, after which deliberation by the BCC or ZC shall either grant a time extension, revoke the approval, rezone the property, or there's 10 other actions that the board has the availability to take in Article 2E. In conclusion, the objective of today's presentation was to not only provide a comprehensive summary of the development order and subsequent monitoring process, but also to advise the board that status reports will become more common on the agenda as staff focuses on reviewing non-compliant development orders. And that is it. If you have any questions, further questions?
Commissioner Woodward, your light is on.
Sorry,
No
finishing my
worries.
last note.
Take your time.
If, just to go back on the statutory time limit slide, I think it was slide 9. So where we are now, after the changes, it's now the tolling days, which are however many days were the state of emergency that was
Yep.
listed.
Correct.
With a maximum 48 extension, and that's for the DRO. If they come back and make changes, you were saying that restarts?
Correct. So if they want to change something on the site plan or anything, and it comes back to the board, that time extension goes away, and the board approval now has the regular 4 years. If there's a statutory time extension available at that time, they can apply for it again. But typically, the statutory time extensions are only available for 60 days. It's just Ian is a crazy outlier that's occurring.
So are we still under a state of emergency?
The governor renewed it on the 14th of this month.
And so,
and it applies to
just
the
to be
entire state
clear,
of Florida.
Is it for how this works for us? It's if a state of emergency is declared anywhere in the state.
No. So how the statute reads, it's whatever is an affected area in the executive order, but the Ian executive order says it applies to the entire state of Florida. Typically, they say certain counties, it applies to Broward, Palm Beach, Dade. This executive order says the entire state of Florida.
So we're at the tolling days of that. I mean, I used over 600 days.
Correct.
Well, at this point, we're over that now because we're.
I have it on here.
No, September of 2022.
I misspoke. Currently, it's at 935
Yeah, I was
tolling
gonna say
days
it's 3
and
years.
24 months.
It's almost 3 years. So
Yeah, it's 4.5 years.
4.5 years.
Correct.
That we're under a state of emergency. So, so anything that had a development order in those 4 years has 8 years?
Well, the development order,
Plus
the
4
state of
years?
emergency is allowing the time extension of 4.5 years. We've been under the state of emergency since 2022, so 3 years.
Okay, but so if they came in at that time, they had their 4 years, they get an additional 4 years, plus the tolling days is another 4 years. So really, it's 12 years. Is that
No,
right?
it's 935 is the tolling days right now for Ian, and 24 months. So effectively, it's 1,600 days, which is 4.5.
But we've had another state of emergency in that time.
There was at one point the Hurricane Nicole was effective. It is no longer effective, so they can know that it's not applicable to be applied for anymore.
But they
But
had
some
those,
at that
if they
time
were
were.
active during that time, and then they get 24 months in addition to
Correct. So some applications that when Nicole was available to apply for, applied for Ian and Nicole, and they received, I think at that time was 600 tolling days for both because they overlapped. So when tolling days overlap, they only get the tolling for one of them, but they got the 48 months because you're allowed to apply for a 48-month max.
Okay.
When two happen. Yeah, it's a lot of math that goes into it. I have spreadsheets.
So outside of all of that, you mentioned on slide 8, if they want to come in for a time extension, they have to do another traffic study.
Correct. So most development orders, in the engineering conditions of approval, there's a condition stating that no building permits shall be pulled after a certain date. So that'll have a due date or whatever. If the property owner wants to do an administrative time extension for that due date, they have to also submit a traffic study, traffic reviews it, and they either approve it or deny it. And if they approve it, they tell us what the new due date is.
Okay. And if engineering doesn't approve it, then what happens?
Then they can't give the administrative time extension for that condition. It's up to engineering.
Okay. All right. And then last question, if I could, on slide 7, this was my first question. That was before we got to the statutory time limits. But do we know how many DROs we're talking about that are beyond the 4 years and have cleared all of the other state of emergencies and everything? How many projects do we have?
You mean like as in they're expired, they're no longer valid? We did some preliminary research and we haven't trickled it down to between how many are DRO, ZC, and BCC. It was close to a total of all those types, around 400. But any that are DRO, the zoning director has the availability to just say they're no longer valid, the end. It doesn't have to come back here. So I believe the ones that are just board review are closer to about 30 to 50. It's not a lot, but it's a significant amount for.
Okay. And just for my own clarification, if we have DROs that are out there that should be expired, is that tying up potential other, whenever we do our future planning, our comp plan changes, any of this stuff, and with the expectation that something's going to be built, and it's been sitting there for 10 years not being built, does that kind of pull out, does it mess up our planning, I guess is what I'm asking. If cleaning this up, is it going to give us a better realistic look at what we have and what we can plan for?
As I understood, and Quasi can confirm this, they have an engineering TPS database that they track their build-out date in, and once it's in their database as expired, it's no longer in their concurrency calculations. But if Quasi wants to expedite in that.
Good morning, this is Quasi from Traffic Division. If the development order expires or the build-out date expires, then...
Quasi, we can't hear you.
It's not working. Okay.
Pull it closer.
All right.
There you go.
You can hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
I can hear myself. If the build-out date expires for a project, then their approval expires, and we take their reserved trips from our database. So.
But not just for traffic. This is all of our planning, our infrastructure, fire rescue, and there's a number of things that we look at, right, when we're...
What else does it trigger?
Yeah, what else does this trigger?
Concurrency? I guess. The county has had a concurrency ordinance at least since the late 80s. Is this on too? Okay. And every time that we do a development order review, whether it's administrative at the zoning level or before you, all of the county 17 review agencies or so are looking at those proposals to see how it affects their programs and plans. And this, like for example, land development is looking at circulation and drainage on site. The best capture of concurrency, reservation, and equivalency as far as our agencies are water utilities and traffic engineering. The other county agencies, the way they review the zoning applications is a little bit different. They're not exactly issuing a reservation. For example, like parks, when we see items today, we had Celtic, Parks was looking at that to make sure that they had the parks facilities on site. There aren't true reservations issued for some of the concurrency providers, such as the health department with septic, or the parks department, or fire rescue, or mass transit. So it's really water utilities and traffic that are doing those kind of reservations and reserving capacity. The other agencies aren't doing a true reservation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is excellent presentation you're doing today, and I just want to confirm that you will go back and look at those that have been, those developments that have been delayed because of time limitations and for years. I know of one for years that now you will begin to, in fact, maybe you already have.
Yeah, correct. We're already in the process.
Excellent.
Yeah.
To review them in terms of traffic, which is a lot of changed circumstances when you think about it, as well as drainage. So will you be able to, if the board wanted to know which ones you're reviewing, that would probably be online. We could check it out, right?
We'll be bringing more onto the agenda as they come. So,
because
the review takes a good amount of time. So as we start digging through more, we'll be bringing more and more on each consent agenda.
Very good. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Very good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your light is still on? No? Okay. Yeah, and as we move forward to when we're doing our comprehensive transportation master plan, the person doing that should be talking to you, because the whole idea is we're doing a whole global perspective. So we want to know what units are coming out of the ground and when they're coming out of the ground and when the need is going to be on whatever highway for that. So you'll be asked for that information too going forward. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So my question would be, if you have a project that we said Ian is still available, Hurricane Ian,
Correct.
for a tolling of 930-something days, which would give us 4.5 years, but the legislature's limited that to 48 months, correct?
It's 48 months if there's two states of emergency that happen concurrently. Each state emergency only gets 24. If there's two, then you can max 48.
So if I were to get, let's say my project was approved today, and I got the 4 years already, but then I apply for the time extension, which you have to pay for, and I pay for the time extension, I would then get the additional everything that's included with Ian? Or would I only get an additional 4 years?
If you've already got the 4 years
Right.
and applied for Ian already,
I didn't apply for Ian,
you
I'm
didn't
just
apply
applying for it
Ian,
now.
so just some random two, you've already gotten 4, you would only get the tolling days. You
would
can
only-
only get those 4 years max forever from this
So-
point.
Which now, if another time extension comes out, let's say there's I don't want to, so we had the wildfires. I don't know if they still would do wildfires, but if they did, let's say wildfires or Zika happened, which I think we ended Zika.
Yeah.
You can't get time extensions for Zika
Yeah, it has to be a
anymore.
natural emergency.
But if
Yeah.
you were, I couldn't lay those on top of each other anymore, correct?
You would only get tolling days.
I would only
Once
get
you've done the extension period of the 24 and the 48 max, you won't ever get them again. You'll only get the tolling days.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any more questions? We have one card.
Alexandria Larson.
I don't see Miss Larson here. We will go ahead and move on to item number 19.
So item number 19 is now
A status report.
A status report. So this will be
Gulfstream ACLF.
So this one actually was brought forward by the current property owner. It's on the southwest corner of Malaluka Lane and Gulfstream Road. It has a high residential 8 units per acre future land use designation and a plan unit development zoning district, and is currently developed with 21 multifamily duplexes. The request before you today is to approve the status report recommendation for 19A, an official zoning map amendment to allow a rezoning from plan unit development zoning district to the multifamily zoning district previously rezoned by resolution 2011-1671, and a development order abandonment to abandon a requested use to allow a type 3 congregate living facility previously approved by resolution 2011-1672. Here's an aerial view of the site. You can see it's a few blocks east of Kirk Road. A little background on the site and why the status report is being brought forward. The subject site received a prior board approval on October 27, 2011 to rezone the multifamily residential zoning district to the residential plan unit development zoning district and to allow a type 3 congregate living facility use. Under the previous owner, the approvals received an administrative time extension and statutory time extensions. Despite those time extensions, neither the engineering conditions of approval nor the commencement of development were complied with by their time limitations. And the current property owner does not wish to develop the type 3 CLF and supports the status report recommendation to revoke the CLF approval and rezone back to its prior zoning district. Staff has received no public comment on the application and is recommending approval of the status report recommendation and resolutions. As such, there are 2 motions in front of the board, 19A and 19B. And that concludes my status report. Very quick.
Vice Mayor Baxter.
I was just going to make the motion to approve this. Were there any cards?
Actually, item 19 shows disclosures. Is that correct?
Well, okay, so technically it's a rezoning, so yeah, we would do disclosure.
Okay. Does anybody actually have a disclosure on this item? Okay, we have no disclosures. Okay.
I'm sure if it wasn't requested by the property owner, you probably have.
All right. So, Vice Mayor Baxter, you were making a motion?
Yes.
So we have the motion for item A and B also?
Yes.
Okay. I have a motion from the Vice Mayor, a second from Commissioner Woodward. I have no lights on. Any, all in favor? All opposed? See that motion carries 6-0. Okay, we are going to start the workforce housing presentation. We're going to give you about a half an hour. Are we changing staff? Are we, okay.
Yes. One more move.
Mayor, would you mind if we resumed this, see how the board feels after
You wanna,
lunch?
you
So
want
we're
to
not
take,
breaking it up
you
in
want
the
to
middle?
just go to lunch now?
I think so.
Okay, so instead of starting and stopping for half an hour, and I know we have people in the audience, we were going to stop anyway and take lunch, so we're going to break now and we will come back at about 5 after 1.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was kind of like, really, do we want to start?